Hey everybody, this is Wendy Ponomarenko. I'm the librarian and art teacher at Temple Emanu-El, and tonight's book is a special book for you. This is Too Young for Yiddish by Richard Michelson and illustrated by Neil Waldman. These are both very well established in the children's book field as writers and illustrators, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, this is Too Young for Yiddish by Richard Michelson and illustrated by Neil Waldman. And because this book is about Yiddish, it opens from left to right. All afternoon, Aaron helped carry, or schlep as his grandpa Zadie called it, boxes of books up the apartment house stairs. Bubby, Aaron's grandma, had died less than a month ago, and now Zadie was going to share Aaron's own small room. "Papa," Aaron's father complained, "the room is tiny. Too many books." But Zadie just waved his hand and opened the top dresser drawer. "The highest for de poten," he said. Then he filled drawers 2 and 3 with stories and plays. In the bottom drawer, he folded his underwear, 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, his tefillin, and a stack of clean white handkerchiefs. His prayer shawl he draped over the back of the one wooden chair. "Heim," he said, smiling. "Home." And he gave Aaron a big heartsick hug. So many books. Had Zadie really read them all? Each with its own ideas and mysteries, each with its own secret world. Aaron opened a drawer to take a closer look. He lifted out one book and then another, but he couldn't read a single word. They were all written in a language he didn't understand. Aaron's mother said that Zadie spoke Yiddish in the old country, although Aaron wasn't exactly sure where the old country was. "In my village, no one spoke English," Zadie told him. The shochet, our kosher butcher, would sing to the chickens in Yiddish, "Shalom Aleichem, Hindlik," "Peace, little chickens," and the chickens would cluck back in Yiddish, "Aleichem Sholem, shochet." And the children, Aaron asked, did they all speak Yiddish too? "Of course," Zadie answered, "the children too." "Then teach me Yiddish," Aaron begged, "so I too can talk to the chickens." Zadie laughed. "Oi, Tatala, you are too young for Yiddish. In the old country things were different. Jews kept to themselves. We were forced into ghettos and forbidden to play with the other children. But America is like soup. Everyone mixes together. Here Jewish boys can play baseball just like everyone else. And here Jews should speak English just like everyone else." Aaron didn't argue. He had to admit that he was a little bit embarrassed by Zadie's funny accent and the way he waved his arms when he spoke. That summer, the Brooklyn Dodgers won the pennant. Aaron wanted to be a pitcher, just like Brooklyn-born Sandy Koufax, his new favorite player. He loved to talk to Zadie about ERAs and RBIs and the difference between a spitball and a slider. Zadie listened, but he didn't understand a single word. "Such a language," he said, laughing. "You're too young for Yiddish and I'm too old to talk baseball." But together they sat and listened to every pitch of every game of the World Series. What a celebration when the Dodgers won! Aaron jumped up and down, and even Zadie waved his arms and yelled "Mazel Tov" at the final pitch. Life was good and about to get better. Aaron's father had gotten a new job in the suburbs. Soon they would all move to a bigger house. "Such huge rooms," he said. "A den with a bookcase for Papa, and for you, Aaron, a front yard to play in." But Zadie ruined everything. He decided to stay behind. "In the old country," Zadie said, "Jews could not get good jobs. Children were forbidden to attend cheder. Our houses and our books were burned. My parents packed and moved plenty, too many times. We traveled from town to town in search of a better life. But here I'm already happy. I have friends from the old country. We speak the same language." Zadie grew quiet. He stopped waving his arms, and then he put them around Aaron. "Besides," he said, his eyes twinkling, "soon you will be busy with your studies. Too busy to schmooze with an old man all day." The next morning, Zadie rented a room at Mr. Singer's home for the aged. The front hall was full of bubbies and Zadies, reading and chatting and playing chess. Mr. Grayson, the grocer, had saved some extra boxes, and Aaron filled each one with Zadie's books. Now, he schlepped them up 3 flights of stairs. Mr. Singer shook his head and made a clicking sound with his tongue so that it seemed as if his head rattled. "Oi, Aaron! What are we to do with your Zadie? Here our hearts are big, but the rooms are tiny. Too many books." But Aaron just waved his hand and opened Zadie's top dresser drawer. The years passed, and Aaron studied hard, just as Zadie had predicted. He spent hours and hours in the library. So many books, each with its own secret world. Books in French and English and Spanish. Books about world wars and kings and knights in shining armor. Books about foreign lands and fearless explorers. But every chance he got, Aaron took the train back to Brooklyn and visited Zadie. He told him about Sandy Koufax and how he refused to pitch on Yom Kippur. He told him about the Dodgers and how they had moved all the way across the country to Los Angeles. "But to me," Aaron said, "they will always be the Brooklyn Dodgers. Brooklyn is where they came from. No one can change that." But some things do change. Aaron graduated from high school and Zadie grew old. Too old even for Mr. Singer's. It was time to move to a nursing home. "Don't worry, Zadie," Aaron told him. "I'll pack your books." "Oi, Tadala," Zadie sighed. "Why schlep? In the nursing home, the rooms are tiny. Besides, I can barely see anymore, and my friends from the old country are already with God. I, myself, called the janitor this morning." Zadie pointed out the window, and a chill crept up Aaron's spine. There, spilling out of bags and trash bins, heaped on the curb across from Aaron's car, lay all of Zadie's precious books. Whole worlds piled high like worthless rags. Zadie's voice trembled. "In America," he said, "the soup has lost its flavor. Everyone has mixed too well. No one remembers anymore where they came from. For Yiddish, it is the bottom of the 9th, with 2 outs and no one on base." Then Zadie smiled. "Oi, Gewalt, listen to me. I guess you're never too old to talk baseball." "In that case," Aaron said, leaning over to give Zadie a big heartsick hug, "it's time you taught me to talk to the chickens." With that, Aaron straightened up and strode out of the room. Zadie heard Aaron's footsteps on the stairs and saw him bound down Mr. Singer's front stoop. He watched as Aaron opened his car doors, stacking in stories and plays until even the trunk was overflowing. Only when the last book of poems was piled neatly on the front passenger seat did Aaron look up. Through the window he could see Zadie waving, his arms moving every which way. Ugh. Letter by letter, word by word, Aaron learned Zadie's language. Once each week, he schlepped an armful of books up the nursing home stairs. Together, they recited poems by Zadie's favorite poets. Aaron loved to hear the rhythms that rolled off Zadie's tongue. Sometimes the stories they read together made Aaron laugh and cry at the same time, and sometimes the stories they read together reminded Zadie of a story of his own. He told Aaron all about the shtetl in Eastern Europe, where he fed his family's chickens, chopped wood, and studied Torah. Once Zadie even mimicked his mother's accent and the way she waved her arms when she spoke. Aaron could almost hear the tumult of the marketplace where his great-grandmother bargained for bread and books and shoes. "So long ago," Zadie insisted, "that the World Series wasn't even invented yet." "Of course." And now Zadie stopped joking. "We Jews had little time for play." We were poor and lived always like visitors on someone else's home field. When times turned bad, it was we who were blamed. There were pogroms, and Jews were pulled into the streets and beaten. And the children, Aaron asked, did they suffer too? Of course, Zadie whispered. The children too. Aaron had studied hard in school, but he'd never realized before how little he knew of his own Zadie's life. For the first time he understood that history was what happened to real people, and he learned how easily families could be torn apart. Zadie had kissed his family goodbye forever, at an age younger than Aaron was now. Remember us, Zadie's mother had whispered, in your prayers. And I knew from my tata's tears, Zadie remembered, that we would never see each other again. But my parents wanted more for me than a life of poverty. In America, they'd heard Jews could study and find jobs and live just like everyone else. Zadie smiled. Or maybe, just maybe, they knew that in America I would meet your bubby. And years later, after Zadie too had met his God, Aaron told Zadie's stories to his own son. He had named him Samuel, which had been Zadie's name, and the name of Zadie's Zadie. That way, Aaron told him, you will always remember where you came from. No one can change that. Then teach me Yiddish, Samuel begged, so I too can talk to the chickens. Oi, Tadala, Aaron said, laughing. Zol sei nazoi. Let it be so. You are never too young for Yiddish. The end. We don't have many books in the children's section that talk about Yiddish. And this one actually, at the end of it, actually has a glossary telling you how to pronounce things, that some of the Yiddish words that were tossed in there, and what they mean. Sorry for the ones that I probably messed up. I, of course, do not speak Yiddish like most people. Yiddish was actually the main language of 3/4 of the Jewish population on the planet up until World War II, when the Nazis took out many of the people who spoke that language. And those who went to Israel started speaking Hebrew. They didn't really speak Yiddish anymore. They switched to Hebrew. And those that came to America, for the most part, started just speaking in English. So the language itself, it's been it's not only been on the decline, it's kind of been lost. There are very few people who actually speak Yiddish today. And I'm unaware of any populations that speak it as their primary language. But it's an important language for our history. It connects us to literally thousands of our ancestors who spoke this language for over 1,000 years. And there are lots of amazing writers and amazing stories and amazing literature that are all immortalized in Yiddish. So the only way to really fully appreciate that is to have more people who are willing to learn Yiddish and to really preserve that language and that culture and that snapshot in time for our people. And so yeah, this is an important book. You can find it in our easy fiction section in the Juvenile stacks. Hope you enjoy.